What's up, guys? Back for the second episode of the training pack progression that I'll be doing. So last time we did dribbles, right? Super important tool for no matter the rank that you're at, especially in those lower ranks like plat, diamond, champ. It's very low risk because then you don't have to put that many resources towards it, but it's really powerful because people can't always react in time. So today we'll be kind of building off of that and looking at another kind of important mechanic or just thing that you need to be comfortable with, which is just power shots, right? Being able to put powerful shots on target, super important. Again, low risk, high reward. You shoot, worst case scenario, they save it, but they had to use boost. And then they're probably going to give you the ball back somewhere else, and then you can try again. Whether that's with a shot, an air dribble, whatever it may be. So it's very, very important that we're able to put powerful shots on target from anywhere on the field. So we're going to talk about that and go through some shots from a training pack that'll have a good variety of like shots from far away versus close range shots. So ones where you're just clearing it, right, when someone's out of position, they're too high up, versus they're in the net and we're trying to place it on target. So we'll go through those like we did last time. And then show some examples of good shots and application in game like usual. So with that being said, let's hop into it. As usual, right, we need the code. So here it is. It'll be in the description. The editor will zoom in on it as well. 10 shots, some close to the net, some far from the net. We'll look at some tips and tricks as well. So make sure to watch the entire video so that you can get those tips and tricks, especially when it comes to these very niche things that are super important when you're taking shots, and kind of that psychological side of things as well, of how people expect you to shoot versus how you should be shooting, so that you can take advantage of that. Okay, so obviously this isn't the actual training pack, this is just a ball sitting here, but I want to demonstrate the differences of like where you hit the ball and where the ball ends up, right? Because for us to practice this in the actual training pack, we have to understand what our car does to the ball, where our car hits the ball, and where that ball ends up going, right? So the editor will draw some lines demonstrating this, but pretty much if I were to hit the middle of the ball, right, it's obvious it's going to go straight. Then if I hit the left side of the ball, it's going to go right. If I hit the right side, it's going to go left. If I drive into a ball without flipping, it will most likely pop up into the air. And then if I flip and I hit the middle of the ball, it will go straight with gravity pulling it down eventually. And then if I flip into the bottom of the ball, it'll go up. And if I flip into the top of the ball, it'll go down. Right? And then if I flip top left of the ball, it's going to go bottom right, right? So it's always opposites. So to demonstrate that, right, if I just drive into it, boom, goes straight up, right? If I do it again and I hit the left side, it'll go right. If I go right, it'll go left. And then if I flip into the middle, it'll go straight. If I flip into the bottom, so you can see I flip as soon as I am right underneath the ball, it goes up a little bit. And then if I were to flip like down like this, then it'll pinch. If it was higher up in the air, then you'd see the ball go down. But the reason it pinches and bounces is because I'm hitting into the ground, so it hits the ground, goes back up. But the idea is wherever you hit the ball, it's going to do the opposite, right? So bottom left, it's going to go up right. Top left, bottom right. Bottom right, top left. So think about where you hit the ball and where that ball is going to go as a result. And now let's go into the training pack and demonstrate that in action. So now that we're actually in the training pack, let's take a look at some different methods for this first shot. There's two main ones. The first one is driving into the ball and the other one is flipping. Right, so if we're driving into the ball, what we're going to do is we're going to diagonal flip to catch up to the ball, and then we're just going to hook into it by hitting it with the right corner of our car, and that's going to pop it up and to the right. So you'll see that here. I flip, and then I drive into it, corner of my car, hits it up into the air, and that can confuse an opponent because they think you're going to shoot front post and you shoot a little bit behind them. Now, similar to that other shot, right, we're just mirroring it. So again, there's the two methods, and I'll show you both of them again quickly here. So it's similar, we're just mirroring it. So you'll see that I diagonal flip, and then I can just drive into the ball and kind of pop it up into the air. And that'll get some lift on the ball and make it so that they at least have to use boost to save it. So again, flip, boost, just drive into it. You could even power slide if you want a little bit to get a cut into it, but just driving is fine. Okay, so now we are making this a little bit more complex, right? So the ball is bouncing, and remember what we talked about with bouncing. So if the ball is bouncing and we hit the top of the ball, it's going to go down. If we hit the bottom of the ball, it's going to go up, And if we hit it on the left side, it's going to go right. If we hit it on the right, it's going to go left, right? So it's up to you where you want to place it. Just have an idea in mind of like, hey, I want to shoot it back post. And if that's the case, you're trying to hit the bottom left of the ball so that it goes up and to the right. And that's what I'm going to go for here. So flip, bottom left, goes top right. All right, so let's watch the replay here. You'll see when I start, I flip, and then I hit that bottom left, and because of that, it goes towards that top right or that back post, and that allows me to place it. And depending on what you're looking for, right, you can try to place it in different areas. Mirrored on the other side, right? It's important to be able to use both sides of your car. So here, I'm going to go for that top left corner, which means I'm going to hit the bottom right of the ball. Right, so I'm going to wait for it to hit the ground, and then I'm going to flip into it, and it's going to make it go towards that top left. That general area is where I'm going for. Now, if you want to shoot more front post, right, then you would hit a little bit more towards the center of the ball, so that it goes a little bit to the left, but not all the way to the back post. So here I'll flip. Then, after that, aim towards that back post. Now, I end up shooting bottom left instead of top left here, and the reason for that is you'll see when I flip, I actually hit the middle of the ball instead of the bottom of the ball. So if I had hit the bottom, it would have went higher. But either way, the goal is like we're trying to place it, so I end up placing it towards that back post. That's a success. Okay, so now we're close to the net, right? So if you want to slot that front post, you're probably still going to have to hit the left side of the ball, right? So now it's like, no matter what, you have to hit the left side of the ball. Otherwise, you're going to hit the backboard, right? If I hit that ball center, it's just going to hit off the backboard. If I hit it on the right side, it's just going to go into the corner, right? So that's not really what we're looking for. So if you're trying to hit the back post, you're going to have to hit like fully on the left side of the ball. If you're trying to hit front post, you're going to have to hit just a little bit to the left so that it sneaks in at that front post. But again, think about where do you want that ball to be placed. Again, since it's bouncing, if you hit it like the center of the ball, it's going to go straight. If you hit underneath, it's going to go up. If you hit it on top, it's going to go down. And all of these, you're pretty much just hitting the ball up or straight. So I'm going to drive at it, and then I'm going to hit that bottom left, and you're going to see it's going to go towards that back post. So again, you'll see in the replay here. Boost, bottom left, goes towards that right. Same thing mirrored on the right side. So speaking of right side, right, we're going to hit the right side of the ball to make it go left, right? If I hit the middle of the ball, it'll bounce off the backboard. If I hit the left side of the ball, it's going to go towards the corner. So I'm going to drive towards the ball or flip towards the ball, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that bottom right to try and make that ball go bottom left. So I'll flip, then try to make it go bottom left, which I somewhat succeeded. It was a little bit to the right, but you get the idea in regards to I flip at it, and then I hit that bottom right with my left corner, and that makes that ball go towards the bottom left. Now, if you want to shoot it front post, right, you would hit a little bit more centrally on the ball with your left corner. So now we're adding, again, more complexity. I feel weird saying complexity, like it's an org, and I keep saying complexity, but we're making this more complex, right? So we're further away from the net, so we're going to need more power. So when you're further away from the net, the assumption is if you're shooting, it's probably because your opponent is out of position. So if they're out of position, you don't really care about placement anymore. You just want to make sure it's on target. And obviously, if there's not that much time left on the clock, it doesn't hit the ground. So that's the goal of this shot, at least, is we're trying to hit it as hard as possible on target without it hitting the ground, right? You have 3 seconds. You don't want it hitting the ground, otherwise it won't count. So that's the goal with this one. And I'm going to go through 2 methods. One of them is flipping. One of them is driving and or wave dashing. It does kind of the same thing, but the wave dash gets you kind of that flip effect of putting more power on it. So for this first method, we are going to use the left corner of our car, and we are going to hit the middle of the ball when the ball is lined up with where our car is facing. And the goal is to hit the ball or flip into the ball as soon as I hit the ball. And I'll show you in the replay here when I get it, but we're driving into the ball and then flipping, and that's going to propel the ball upwards. Like so. You'll see that ball kind of goes up into the air, doesn't hit the ground, and that's what we're looking for. So in the replay, you'll see I'm going to boost, and as I hit the ball, then I front flip or diagonal flip, and that's going to propel the ball upwards and towards the net so that if there were 0 seconds left, it would go in the net and I would score because my opponent is out of position. Now, if you're feeling a little mechy, right, what you can do is you can wave dash into it. So you're still hitting the middle of the ball and using the corner or the front of your car, and you're just trying to put it on target by wave dashing into the ball. So you'll see I jump, I wave dash, and it pops the ball up into the air and towards the net, scoring a goal. So that's another way to do it, to get some good power using a wave dash. And that kind of allows you to get some speed and then just scoop the ball up into the air. There's also the fancy wave dash method if you'd like to catch your opponent off guard by thinking that maybe you're going to control the ball when in reality you're going to boom it like so. That's a good way to pop it up in the air, and if they don't have much boost, it'll be hard for them to get up to it, especially if they are too high up and then they have to aerial backwards. There you go. It wouldn't be a training pack if the shots weren't mirrored, right? So again, right corner of your car, center of the ball. That's going to pop it with power. Drive, drive, drive. Corner of your car. Boom. Even almost top left because of how much power I got on it. But you'll see it again. Right corner of my car, middle of the ball. Boom. Flip. And then that pops it towards the net. Again, the goal is to just get a counterattack. Your opponent's too high up. It's boomed over their head. You get a goal. So these last two shots, I'll say, are probably the most difficult. Whether you're GC, SSL, whatever, for me, it's probably even going to take a few tries of recording it to make sure it doesn't hit the ground. But the goal with this is to get comfortable with booming the ball from far away while it's bouncing, right, without it hitting the ground. And to do that, we want to hit the underside of the ball so that it kind of does an ellipse, right, where it goes up and then it scoops back down into the net. Right, so we're trying to hit the underside so that it goes up, and then gravity will pull it down over time, and it'll go into the net. And we also need to hit the right side of the ball so that it goes left towards the net. So what I'm going to be doing here is driving towards it, jumping. You're going to see me air roll to the right so that I can use my left corner. And then I'm going to diagonal flip, which is going to pop the ball towards the net, up, and then down into the net. So boost, jump, turn my car, diagonal flip into it. And it'll be easier to explain when it's slow-mo in the replay here. So you're going to see my car is going to boost. I'm going to jump, turn sideways, and then diagonal flip. So I use my E air roll there to turn my car right. And then after that, I diagonal flip into it using the bottom left corner of my car and hitting the bottom right of the ball, which throws it up into the air towards the net, towards the left. And feel free to play that back. But the goal is to not have it hit the ground. If it hits the ground, not the end of the world, but that's a good way to practice 0 seconds, getting those clears, or booming it over your opponents with a lot of power. So for this last one, it's similar, but it's closer. You're just further away, so you're trying to boost and flip to catch up to the ball. And then you're not really going to be able to hit it when it's up into the air. You're going to try and hit it as it's hitting the ground, or as it's like bouncing off the ground, so you're either ground pinching it towards the net, if it's hitting the ground as you hit it, or as it comes off the ground, you're hitting it, which means that you are hitting the underside of the ball and it's going up towards the net. So you're going to see I diagonal flip, and then I hit the underside, and that pops it towards the net. And if you hit more on the left, it'll go more towards that back post. So you'll see here as I go towards it, if I'd hit a little bit more on the left side of the ball and more underneath it, it would have scooped up to the top right corner of the net, which is ideal for when you're shooting there. Okay, so here is our first example, and this is one of the closer shots. So the first example will be a closer shot, and one will be kind of a counterattack shot. So this is us. We're in their half. My teammate just went for a solo play, and they're about to clear it out to the corner. So a big thing that the train pack trains you for is shooting from the corners or from these tight angles. So what you'll see is as I drive up here, I have this shooting opportunity, right? And I want to make sure that I shoot it just anywhere on target, really. But just for the sake of argument, if there was someone covering the net right now, they'd probably be at the front post. So I'd want to shoot it behind them. So what I'm going to do here is as I drive towards the ball, and I'll even slow it down so you can see this, is at 50% speed, I'm going to diagonal flip into the bottom left of the ball using the right side of my car. So you'll see here, right side of my car, bottom left. And then what that's going to do is propel the ball into the bottom right corner of the net, placing the ball behind my opponent if there was one at the front post, and in this case, right, just putting it on target. And then my opponent just instantly leaves after I score. So that's an example of placing the ball through the corners when you are close to the net. And then here is our second example. So here my opponent is air dribbling it out, and they end up giving away the ball. And what I'll do here is actually I'll turn name tags back on so you can see the second man on the other team as well as my teammate. So as my teammate is rotating back and this player gives me the ball, this is an example of, hey, your opponent is too far up. So if you can get a powerful shot on target, you will be able to get it over their head and get kind of an open net when people overcommit. And that's another thing that the training pack worked on, mostly those last 3-4 shots, I believe. So here what you're going to see, I'll go in 50% speed, is my teammate actually goes and bumps the opponent, I believe. And as I drive towards it, I am hitting the underside of the ball. And you'll see that I even connect with the ball kind of in the middle, but a little bit to the left of the middle, so that the ball goes right towards the net. So here, a little bit to the left of that ball, barely to the left. And then on the underside, and you'll see because of that, the ball goes straight towards my opponent's net. And I believe if there was 0 seconds, right, that's a goal. And then I would go to OT or whatever, or get an open net, doesn't really matter. But that could be game winning, that could be game tying, or it can just be a free counterattack goal like it is here. But that is an example of being able to hit the ball very hard from far away from the net and placing it. So with that being said, let's go back to free play and kind of close out the video. Okay, so to close things out, the biggest thing from this training pack is practicing understanding where your car hits the ball and how that impacts it, right? And that applies to not only the shooting, right, but even air dribbling, right? Like if I hit the underside of the ball, it's going to pop the ball up and allow me to push the ball forward and up, like so, right? That's how you kind of practice this stuff later down the line, is understanding what your car does to the ball. So this is the stepping stone, per se. So you want to master this so that later down the line, right, you can do things like ground to air dribbles and wall to air dribbles and flip resets, right? Because placing shots alone is a very, very powerful tool. A lot of players aren't great at it, and because of that, they miss out on a lot of great opportunities to score or win games off of just even open nets or opponents overcommitting. So with that being said, the next episode you can expect is aerials. So we'll look at some aerials and application, obviously. And then I'm going to be looking to do some conceptual videos as well, so there'll be one of those here and there as well. So keep an eye out for those. Obviously join my Discord, and if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed and hit the notifications so that you can watch videos when they come out. Other than that, thank you for your time, and have a nice rest of your day, guys.